All the anxiety and stress in the world, it is so important for us to do our best to live in peace. I want to talk about that today in your morning cup of inspiration. Thanks for joining me. Peace is so critical in our life, and there's a specific thing that I want to mention today that we can work on to maintain and increase peace in our life. Do you remember when you were back in school and the teacher was returning the tests with the scores on them that you just took, and you get your paper, and if you're like me, you might have been somewhere in the B range, and that's kind of how I would score. But what's the first thing you do? You don't just sit and worry about your grade. You ask, hey, what'd you get? What'd you get? What'd you get on yours? You ask all your friends around you. Now, if they got in the 70s, or if they got a C or D, you were feeling pretty good, sitting up a little bit straighter, weren't you? But if you were surrounded by A students, that kind of got to you, didn't it? You didn't feel quite so good. And the reality is your score didn't change. You had that same 85 no matter who was around you, but because of you comparing yourself to those people, you began to feel different. You began to not feel good, or you had a greater peace yet because you had a better score than them. On the flip side, if they had a better score, you envied their score. So my point is, to increase the peace in our life, we have to remove ourselves from the comparison game. Listen to what it says in Proverbs 14, 30th verse. A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. Envy can literally impact our physical being. But if we walk in peace, that gives us life. So think about that today. Don't compare yourself. Accept the abilities, accept what God has given you. You do your best, and you live at peace with yourself. You don't need to compare yourself to others. You don't need to envy what someone else has. God has given you exactly what He wants you to have. It's up to you to use it, and it's up to you to walk in that peace that gives you life. I pray that ministered to you today. God bless. Thanks for joining me for that morning cup of inspiration, and we'll see you next time.